Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Melissa Nielsen with Waldorf Essentials, and I hope you are having a great Monday. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you. I hope that you've taken the opportunity, as cliche as it sounds this time of year, I hope that you've taken the opportunity to really think about your goals and dreams for 2019. And I also hope that you have taken the opportunity to close out 2018 properly. What do I mean by that? To close it out, in a business sense would mean, what all the financials are and all of that. That's not really what I'm talking about. I am talking about really looking at 2018, thanking it, and looking at what you did accomplish and looking at what you wish you had accomplished, and being able to properly say goodbye to it. So, one way to do that would be to maybe write out what you learned. Don't ever look at things as failures. Look at how you learned, what you learned. Maybe write out what you learned and write out what went well. And then one way to close it out is to burn that intention, burn that, and then really welcome in the new. Welcome it in. And I find that when we do things like that, when we do marked rituals for the new year, whether it be just prayer and meditation work or something that's very intentional, we always feel better. We always have more, as we go into the new year. And so you really want to have that as you go into the new year, because it's happening. It's happening tomorrow. Anyway. So today we're going to talk about mid-year evaluations, and there were some people that were lucky enough to join us for a nice, beautiful, long 4-hour session on Saturday, where we walked through and we talked to many, many, many moms, and we did some one-on-one coaching and really had a great mid-year evaluation session. We invited people that were not thinking, feeling, willing members this year, and I think we had a few of those attend with us, and we'll probably do that again next year. The next time we will be getting together to do evaluations will be when we start the Planning for Peace journals, and that will be in about April or May, end of April probably. So heads up about that. So the first things I said in my email, for those of you that get emails from us, that I'm going to talk about sort of my secrets, or the exact questions that I ask myself when I do any kind of review. So the first thing I want to say is, if you haven't done an actual rhythm accounting, you need to do an actual rhythm accounting. Super, super important to sort of know where your rhythm is. And to have the actuals, what we think in our head, because our brain works in stories, so what we think in our head, it's often not the true story. It's just often not the true story. We might be telling ourselves the wrong story. So, excuse me, y'all, it's cold here. I'm just gonna say, I know that's relative, but Eric is wearing a wool hat. I'm wearing a wool hat. I've got a scarf on. We're cold. But we'll get through. The sun will shine today, and it will actually warm up. Okay, so one of the things that you first want to do is you want to sort of step back and meditate on your child. And we have guided meditations for those that follow us. There's also guided meditations in the Ask Melissa and Eric Facebook group. If you are not in that group, that's a really great place to get some free stuff. So we have some guided meditations listed in there. I would do a guided meditation on your child at least twice a year, at the very, very least. But I would actually do them much more often, because it really gives you a good way to sort of step back from your child and really sort of be able to look at them without this big amount of attachment that we have, of course, and be able to look at them solidly on their own, and ask the universe ask your child in this case, what do you need from me? And really be able to sort of get that information, really be able to see and hear, because often we see them every day, but we're not always hearing exactly what they need. And when we can be in a spot to actually hear what they need, it's super, super helpful. So, so I would definitely encourage that you do some guided meditation. And like I said, we have the one that we have in the Ask Melissa and Eric group is a good one. And or any guided meditation, or any just like sitting and truly meditating on your child and seeing them as a separate entity, as a separate ego from yourself, so that you can really hear them and really hear what they need from you, is, I think, golden before you start these evaluations. Then when you start the evaluations, these are the questions I ask myself. And I'm going to, there's some that are a little bit different for the early years that I ask. And these are in our Planning for Peace journal for those that have the Planning for Peace journal. So if we're talking about early childhood, and yes, I still do review even when they're early childhood, because they're, especially when they're early childhood, because so much changes over 6 months when they're little, that you could have a complete issue when they are, when they are, say, 3.5, but by 4, it's totally, it's totally resolved itself. Or by 5, but by 5.5, you're seeing something completely different. By 5.5, maybe you're seeing the beginnings of the 6-year change, and that might be troubling you and frustrating you. So there are all kinds of things that I sort of look for. So the first thing I look for, and I write them down. I write them down and I keep track of them. I always write the child, their age, and I write their age and the months, so the year and the months, just so that when I go back to look at them later, I have a good picture of where we were. And I always date these. I always date them. So for early years, I would say, where are we? How is overall behavior? How are sleep and eating patterns? So I answer those questions for myself, for my child. And then, again, this is early years. How am I holding the space and approaching each day with harmony? If this is a struggle, what am I doing to sort it out? So I ask myself these questions. I ask myself, okay, how is holding the space, and how do you know that you're good at holding the space? Well, you've got a lot less contention in your home. Your home feels peaceful. Things feel good. And you don't feel like you're falling apart and like you're not on top of everything. That doesn't mean that everything gets done that you want to get done, but you're really at holding the space when, when you're needing to. So then if you've got a school-age child, I ask myself again, where are we? So like, as in, where are we in the curriculum? How far have we gotten? Are we on course from what I planned when I, planned things for the fall? Are we behind? Are we ahead? When I did Sam and Soraya was ahead of where I thought we would be. And because she was ready and primed for those letters, and ready and primed for reading. And so she was ahead a bit. And Sam, because he loves to go deep, loves to dive into things, and Eric and I love to dive into things, he's about a month off of where we want to be. Okay, you got a question over there.
Do you have this written? I can't write this fast.
Oh, if you have the Planning for Peace journal, it's there. Otherwise, I would just rewind it when we're done, because it'll always be recorded.
And it's going to YouTube.
Yep, it's going to YouTube when it's done. So it'll be on Facebook, it's on Instagram, and it will be permanently on YouTube. So if you have Planning for Peace journal, they are there. Those questions are there in Planning for Peace journal under the mid-year review section in the back. Okay, so again, like I said, I ask myself, where are we? Where are we right now? And that means like academically, it also means emotionally. So I look at where we are within the curriculum, what we got done, what we didn't get done. And then I also take a few minutes to look at where we are emotionally, especially when you're in those change years. If you're in the 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 years where you're going to see an overabundance of emotions, then I think that you are you're in a good spot to really make sure you get the emotions down. And I just remembered something for whoever asked that question. If you are a Thinking, Feeling, Willing member, the copy of the mid-year review workbook is in under curriculum and more and miscellaneous videos. So if you are thinking feeling willing member and you want to know where all these are written down, that's where they are. Okay, so then I also asked myself this question: what things give me encouragement or cause me concern at this point in the school year? So this is where I put anything that I'm like really excited about. Like for Soraya, I wrote that she's finally decoding reading, and there's definitely practice that we have to do every single day, but there's nothing that really worries me about her where we are. But then on the things that I did say concern me, and remember she's got sensory processing disorder and a fair amount of OCD going on, her tantrums are taking a different turn. And what I found with my my oldest being on the spectrum was that those 3-year changes happened a little bit later than they happened with my other children. They weren't quite on those 3-year marks. And so I think a lot of what we're seeing from her is developmental, but also because she's got all these gigantic ideas and she's in a little body and has a hard time executing them. Would you not say that is,
Yes.
that is accurate, dear?
Yeah, that is very accurate.
At least she doesn't do "I'm so mad" anymore. She's just taken to meowing like a cat, a mad cat. So you can imagine a cat like that that's really mad. Yeah. So so what things give you encouragement or cause you pause at this time of the school year? So then I evaluate myself. And this is probably the hardest evaluation to do. When I evaluate myself, I ask myself, what went well? How did I do overall holding our rhythm? Because remember, I'm the one who drives the boat. Sometimes we forget and we blame other people. But in the world of radical responsibility, Mom, we drive the boat. What things got in my way? So that's valid. So if you're really struggling with rhythm, it's valid to ask yourself, what things got in my way? And then you have to remind yourself, oh yeah, I let them get in my way. And trust me, it's something that we work on over time. What do I wish I had planned better for? So that's always hindsight is 2020, but it's always good to write those things down, because then you can come back to them another time. So when you're, in planning mode, whether it be planning for the holidays, planning for school, planning for birthdays, doesn't matter what it is. If you know this about yourself, that you miss one detail or that you miss a whole cluster of details, then you, by knowing it and sort of owning it, then it makes the whole thing like easier to swallow. What can I do now to help lessons go smoother, like right now, today? And what skills do I need to finish out the school year? And so that's like a whole, like, all right, so I've gotten this far. Are there skills that I need to acquire before I walk into school, whether it be this week, maybe you're back to school today, or maybe you're not back to school till next week. We are not back to school till next week. And so, you step back and you're looking at what you have ahead in your plans for your schooling, and what skills do you possibly need to pick up on? What things do you need to possibly go deeper on with the curriculum so that you understand what's coming? So like, if you have no idea what's going on in the Roman Empire and how it got to where it was, it might be worth catching a few episodes of Engineering an Empire and reading, so that and that would be in your skills that you need to acquire to really be able to go forward with the year. And then the last thing is like an intention. This week I will, and what will you do? Write down what you will do. So those are the questions I ask myself. I also, if you are having some like major behavioral issues with your children, there is an evaluation that I do for that, and it is also in the Planning for Peace journal. And I ask people when they are asking for a consult, I usually say, okay, let's ask these questions first. So with that, I have a sheet that I've made for myself a long time ago, and again, it's in the back of Planning for Peace. I ask myself, I have one circle that is like outbursts, like recent outbursts what the topics were, how things went, maybe even how long the tantrum lasted, if it was a full-on tantrum. And then I look at eating habits, I look at sleep habits, and I look at academic struggles. All of those things tell us something. So they tell us where the child is. And then I always also step back and go, what's going on at home? What's going on at home that is contributing to sort of what they've got going on? So those things are questions that I usually ask people when they come to me and say, my child's got this going on. And I'll go, all right, well, let's talk about how they're sleeping, how they're eating, how they're doing in school, and talk to me about their last few tantrums. What happens with the tantrums is there's always a thread. And moms will say, oh, it's just totally random. I don't know when it's coming. You do if you pay attention. So you want to get in a spot where you are paying attention to exactly what they're doing. What's going on before the tantrum? Were they over hungry? Were they overstimulated? If they have special needs and they've got that in the mix, what was the trigger? Where did you go over the edge? For those of you who are maybe new to the special needs scene and you've just got a recently diagnosed child, or you're thinking you have a diagnosis coming, I would start charting now. Every time you see the tantrum, you want to write it out, and then you want to step back later when you're not, in survival mode. You want to step back and you want to go, all right, what was going on right before that? What was I doing 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before, even 2 minutes before? Was I there? Was I present? Was it something that I could have averted by holding the space? Was it something that I could have averted by saying, hey, we're not going to sort that right now, and just distracting? Was it something I could have averted by saying, hey, it's time to go for a walk. Let's go. I mean, asking yourself those questions, and those are hard questions to ask, Mom. And they're hard questions to ask because we have this mixed up, messed up view and sense that it's beating ourselves up, that it means that we're failures. It just means that you caught a tantrum and that you know it, and now you get to do better. When we know better, we do better. Do you have anything over there, Daddy? Are we good?
We're good.
Does anybody have any questions or thoughts that they want to share? Hopefully everybody's good with their mid-year evaluations. And if you're not, now would be the time to do them. Do not ignore these. I have people say to me all the time, shh, you and your planning, you're so funny. Yeah, but you know what? I get crap done. I do. I get it done. And I have been in the years where at the end of the year, I felt like complete garbage because we didn't get done what I set out to do. Guess what? Doing evaluations helps you know where you are. And getting stuff done helps you not feel like that. Yes.
I got a couple over here.
All right.
Deanna Cotero Hemingway says hungry, tired, or overstimulated were the most common triggers for my kids.
Yep.
And Jamie Bennett says, my teen triggers my 8-year-old in tantrums. Any advice in helping a 13-year-old see how his words and actions trigger his little brother?
So here's the thing. He's 13. He's not stupid. And you know this. And so he knows what he's doing. Call him on it. One of the things we talked about in the mid-year review that we did a lot with our big boys, and we're employing now with Soraya because she is, some days, it's like so much. In fact, what did you say last night we were on our walk? He goes, I'm looking forward to her being unconscious in a few hours. Because she was so full on yesterday. But, when we sort of step back and look at like why, we know why. She'd had a little too much media and that doesn't do well for her. But as far as so what I did with my big boys, make them go for a run. And I would just say, I have said these words, Harry or Jacob, you are dangerously close to taking a lap around the block. So decide what you want to do. Because if you can run your mouth, you can run your feet. Thank you, Kelly, for that one. That's it is about getting the 13-year-old in a better place because the 13-year-old knows what they're doing.
Courtney McHugh Line says, I hopped on a little late. Is there a checklist somewhere for the mid-year planning points you were talking about?
I would rewind and watch. If you have planning for peace, go through those, because planning for peace is where they're at. If you are thinking, feeling, willing member, it is with the review, the video that we did on Saturday. We had a 4-hour long training with our thinking, feeling, willing members, and we went through and talked about their mid-year reviews, and there's a workbook there. So those would be the two places. Otherwise, I would just rewind and watch. Yeah, Blessed with Pigtails over here says, if you can run your mouth, you can run your feet. I cannot take credit for that. That is all Kelly. We had this talk on Saturday in our mid-year reviews, and it was funny because we have always had this, like, you're going to take a lap, because what happens, and this is what Soraya and I had this conversation about her tantrum the other day, and I'm going to get all this hate mail, and it's all right, y'all. You don't have to agree with me. The brain works when our feet work. The brain sorts things out. When we sit still, it overthinks. So I want you to take that in. Write it down if you got a pen and paper. The brain works when our feet work. It overthinks when we sit still. So the best way to work out a problem, an issue, a struggle, whether you're an adult or a child, is to walk it off. Go for a walk. Don't go for a drive. That's just changing scenery and you're still sitting still and overthinking. But when you go for a walk or a run, it makes the brain work things out. Why? Well, my physical theory, Soraya and I had this conversation because she knows now she needs a walk. Like, she was yesterday she was not good at saying she needed it, but she had a big tantrum last week, and we started employing the taking a run and then walking it off and talking about it. We employed that, and then like 2 days later, she said, I need a walk. Like, she was about to fall apart, and she recognized that she needed a walk. Yesterday, the issue was we let it go too far. But she said to me, but Mommy, why do I feel better? And I said, because your brain really works things out. It works things out when you walk. And I think it is because you're trying not to fall. You're paying attention to your feet. You're paying attention to where you're going. So your brain is working less on the thing that you think is a problem and more on surviving. And so you're taking your brain into a different place. That's my theory. Over here, yes, my daughter 9 with ADHD always has her best days when she's gone swimming. Yeah, working out or having movement works out the problem. Otherwise, overthinking helps you stew.
Marie Paul says, my kids would enjoy that. What about when they just can't focus or actually won't? I know they can do it.
Oh, I still make them go for a run. Marie, those boys are busy. You have a big yard. Make them go for a run. Say, Russell, I love you. See you at 5. I try not to do it from, at first, of course, it's going to feel punitive because they're being punished. And I don't like it to be in that place. I like it to more be in the place of things are about to get scary, and I don't want them to be scary. And we like peace in our home, and you don't like me to yell at you and be frustrated at you. And this is especially for an older child. You don't like me to be frustrated at you because of your actions. So let's stop it now. Let's stop it now. Go for a run. And at first, you can send the dog it's a bonus if you have a dog to send them to take the dog for a run. A bonus if dad runs or mom runs, for sure. But I would not do it with them all the time. So I would get them started first. And then when we lived in Idaho, we would be able to, like when Harry and Jacob would rub up against each other in the wrong way, I'd say, both of y'all are taking a lap. And for that, it meant down and all the way around the block. And they always came back either like laughing together, talking about something dumb, because they were like 11 and 13 at the time. And so, it rubs itself off and gets better. Soraya on the way home last night after our 2-mile walk, and she finally had settled down. About 3 blocks from home, I said, let's go home and play Uno. And she was like, woohoo, Uno. So totally broke that thing that she was tantruming about, except for we were laughing so hard right before bed. Can we talk about that now? I said, no, we can talk about that tomorrow. Go to bed. We're not discussing it now. Let's see. comments over here. I feel like it really helps the brain connect the hemispheres back together, so you can really think clearly. I agree, and I do think that it's that motion, walking. You've got, and like I said, your brain is not thinking so much about the problem as it is about being focused on like not dying, like not falling. Like, and what happens when you're focused on the problem is you do fall. I can attest to that. When you're not focused on like the walk, you might fall, and it might be really funny. And as a grown woman, you might knock over like a row of those stupid scooters that are on the street. I've been there, done that. Anything over there?
Oh, Deanna says the seemingly punishment turns into a healthy lifelong habit for working through stuff. It only has to work once for the light bulb to go off. It works.
Yes.
And Marie says, so maybe I need to run them until they are actually tired. I feel like they would never tire enough to work. I will do it more.
Remember the term pliable exhaustion. So, and I think that the ages that I'm thinking about your kids, Marie specifically, they are not going to seem pliably exhausted until you take them to that place. You got to take them there. And if they go, but Mom, well, sweetheart, but you're not focusing. You're telling me you need to run. Oh, well, I'll focus. That's when you can tell if it's like just being snarky or truly physically they need to go for a run. Because sometimes we choose to be snarky, even as grown-ups. It's a true statement. I think I've probably been snarky in the last 24 hours. Just being ornery. We can all do that. And but you're right. Also, Deanna, it's a lifelong habit, and it helps you learn to really work it out. And I'm hoping, like for those of you who might be listening and going, man, I have some tantrums going on in my head sometimes, or I tend to overthink. Overthinking happens when you sit still. Move your body. Get up and go for a walk, and it will work itself out. And I have, for those of you who don't have the opportunity to walk by yourself, I have done this. I've been this mom. We're going to play the quiet game on the walk today. I would like to see how many blocks we can get in quiet. Winner gets a prize. The prize might be a kiss from you. That's totally okay. You don't even have to give a prize, but then they get all caught up in the, well, I'm not talking. I want to win this game. So then you get some peace. Then you get a little bit of peace. That works. If you've just got little ones going for a walk while one of them's napping in the stroller, maybe that's a good one. You could also, if they fall asleep in the car, pull over to the side of the road and do laps around the car. So that you can see them sleeping and you can walk it off and walk it out. It is really helpful, really super helpful. Anything else over there?
Deanna says, love you. Deanna says, love you. Happy New Year. Going out to enjoy the sunshine.
All right.
That's all you do.
Thank you.
With the quiet game, though, I've had times where I've had a kid go, I'm not going to win, so I'm going to lose this.
Oh, yeah, that would be Jacob. My boy, if you're watching me this morning, I love you so much. No, it's like 7:30 in Utah. He's probably still sleeping. He doesn't have classes right now. He would be I'm not going to win, so I'm just going to talk anyway. So in that case, then you have to say, I am brutally honest with my children when I need to be. Mommy is about to lose it, and we all know that that's not pretty. So could we just walk the next 4 blocks? Just give me 4 blocks. Just 4. You can count them in your head of silence. And then you can talk to me as much as you want. It helps so much when you can be honest with them. When you're home, you have to do things a little bit differently than you would do otherwise. So I definitely think it's okay to be honest and say, I'm about to lose it. Because, kids need to know not only that you also are flawed, but that you actively work things out. That helps so much. So don't overthink. But I think we are about done. We are.
Yeah.
Hope you all have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye. See you next Monday.